Hello and welcome everyone to Screenwalks. My name is Jordi Arte and I'm curator of digital programs at the Photographer Gallery in London. Screenwalks is a program launched by Fotomuseum Winterthur in Switzerland and the Photographers Gallery in London with support of Pro Helvetia. Since we started in April 2020, we've been inviting artists, curators, researchers to fortnightly take over our Zoom and Twitch accounts to perform guided explorations of the places where their core artistic practice takes place. Every one of the 20 events that we have hosted so far has taken a different format. We have had studio visits, performances, lectures, live shows, conversations, sometimes more contemplative and more meditative, and some others more interactive and more participative. Either way, they always bring forward the joint effort of both photography institutions to continue exploring and investigating the role of the image in the digital and network culture. If this is your first ever Screenwalk, please make sure to visit our website, screenwalks.com, where you will find the recordings of all our previous events that took us to video games, corporate landscapes, social media, 3D renders, CCTV cameras, dated platforms, memes, facial filters, peer-to-peer networks, virtual worlds, and many, many other places. Now some practicalities about the event. Your microphone should be muted. If not, please go ahead and mute it now. And just to let you know that the event is being recorded and will be archived. So please turn off your camera if you don't want to be recorded.
Hello, from my side too. My name is Marco De Mutis. I'm digital curator at Fotomuseum Winterthur. Tonight, we will be exploring the production, circulation, and consumption of tourist photographs, from printed postcards to Flickr interfaces, from Swiss glaciers to famous monuments. By bringing together large amounts of images, painstakingly researched and assembled by our guest artists, we look at what patterns start to emerge. And as they become visible, we will ask, what does it mean to produce and share images of tourist landmarks that simultaneously visualize our individuality and at the same time standardize us? The tourist photograph of iconic landmarks shows the promise of our freedom and reinforces at the very same time the view that is replicated by millions of other tourists with a camera. And through the power of the network, this paradox has been suddenly exposed in even more and more obvious ways. Tonight, to guide us through ideas about networks, images, tourists, identity, icons, persuasion, and the lure of the internet, we have pioneer visual artist Corinne Vionnet. Her works have been shown extensively across the world and are part of collections in major institutions such as SF MoMA, Musée de l'Élysée, Musée Français de la Photographie, among many others. Her works are very often mesmerizing, multi-layered assemblages and collections, which in their multitude reveal the way in which we are shaped by photographic representation, and are the result of extensive archival research, photographic image making, appropriation of crowdsourced materials, and collage. We have the privilege to take a walk on her screen tonight and to get an insight in her practice. And after exploring her works and her techniques, the artist will ask the audience to collaborate in the process of creating a new image based on a picture of pandemic tourism, so to say, the computer in our homes. If you wish to participate, please take a picture of your computer screen from your phone and email it to us at screenwalkswith@gmail.com. We'll write it in the chat, but I'm gonna say it again for those watching the live stream. Screenwalkswith, all one word, @gmail.com. So please send us your image so that we can forward it to the artist anytime from now to the next 30 minutes, so that we will have enough time to arrange everybody's image and bring it to Corinne. Okay, so dear Corinne, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. The screen is yours.
Bonjour, hello everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you to the Photographers Gallery and Photo Museum for the invitation. I'm going to talk about my book, mainly about my book Photographics, but instead of showing you images of the series, I'm really going to show you more about the research behind that, what has been checked to make this project, and so on, and also works that is linked in some way or another to this work. So I called this talk actually the voyage, the travel, because despite you are behind your screen, you're going to travel around the world. So I come from the Swiss Alps, which is the county is called Valais. It's a very touristic place where people go to the mountains and ski, and in summer, I mean, it used to be before the pandemic, a very touristic place. But however, the first tourists arrived in the 19th century, and it was really privileged tourists. And very quickly, as soon as they arrived in the end of the 19th century, roads have been built, hotels have been built. So all the infrastructure was already built to welcome these wealthy tourists. And at that time, you already had a very the image on the postcards was already existing. So people would buy this postcard to share to friends or to family, and also they were keeping these postcards as a souvenir. And so since that time, since the postcards exist, we have this knowledge of places, even if we haven't been there. So we were receiving these postcards and we had the knowledge of places. And that shaped in some way our gaze already at that time. So I'm going to tell maybe the reason why I was influenced, why I had this research about famous landmark. When I was a kid, I used to collect postcards. That was mostly, with my generation, it was mostly a postcard that I was receiving, or my parents after a while would giving to me. And I had this feeling of traveling through these postcards. So it was really something important for me. I was going through all these images already at that time. In 2000, when was that? In 2016, I recollected this postcard, other postcards, and of famous landmarks, and by buying it online, with different websites. Two specific spots mainly. It was the Rhoneglacier, which is still about the place where I come from, and this is this is the Rhoneglacier here with my mouse. And so this I took this spot specifically from Gletsch, the village down where you have the glacier up there, but also another spot that you're going to see later, which is you have really the view on the glacier as well, but then the road to get there. And the other spot, I use it mainly because you had a whole century of postcards that I could find online. And what I did, because you could see the shift of the glacier, so what I did is that I zoom into the glacier only. And so to have this glacier, to have only these details, and then chose about 12 images of this glacier through the century. And you could really feel the glacier melting. So the nice thing also with this going to zoom into these old postcards is that you could feel also the different process of printing through time. So here are the 12 images that have chose from that spot. And actually that's the glacier how it is now. So you don't have any more glacier. And this view, actually, if you go to the shop, there is no longer postcards sold from this view because there is no glacier any longer. And even people are not interested to this view because there is no glacier any longer. So it's no longer what I would call a Kodak spot in some way. Since the pet vacation, I think we say in English, so since the 50s when we had this vacation offered, where the tourism increased a lot. So, and photography has always been very linked to travel. So when we go to vacation, we would make pictures. So when we go to Paris, for example, we go to see the Eiffel Towers and we make a picture. When we go to Cambodia, we go to the famous temple Angkor Wat and we make pictures as well. In my project, Photopotentities, started in 2005, and I fall into the blog of Mr. Tsai. He has, with his family, his aim is to visit a lot of country to do around the world. And they have visited around 35 countries until today. So I kept following what they've been, where they have been traveling. So here you have other examples of their travel to different places. And you can see also the kids growing through time. So you build these albums of vacation, and Susan Sontag in her book on photography has linked photography to tourism using the word photograph trophy. So when we go to places like here to go to the Sacré-Cœur, you make a picture also to prove that we've been to the Sacré-Cœur. It's and then you share it to social media. And it has this picture that you make have to match with what we all know, what is part of our collective memory, because otherwise it doesn't, it doesn't really match with what we all know. So when you go to Venice, you take, for example, a picture of the Pont des Soupirs, or you can also maybe dress and match with what you're going to photograph. Last year during the lockdown, since the series Photopotentities, then about 8 years after that, I restarted the work on Paris and American sceneries. And I took the advantage, I may say that, during the lockdown to download and go through all Paris pictures. And when I stopped by looking at pyramid pictures, I realized that there were lots of people acting in front of the pyramid. So I'm going to share this to you as examples, like you can jump in front of the pyramid, you can lay on it, you can show the shape of it, you can show the size of it, you can also, definitely you can touch the top of it, like here, 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 here. And since the smartphone, I really saw a shift that people are doing a lot of selfies with monuments behind in the background. My series Photopotentities started in 2005. It was after a travel to Pisa. So it was for work, but of course, when you go to Pisa, you cannot miss the Leaning Tower. So we went to go and see the Leaning Tower. And I realized that we were all doing the picture from the same spot. And actually, as the tower is leaning, you have the tower which is here. You see my mouse? Yeah. Okay, so you have like the tower here, and if you do a picture here or here, the tower doesn't seem to lean. And if you do a picture here, you can see some people there. You don't have a lot of space to make the pictures because the tower is high. So most of us were doing the pictures from that place. here it seems that the park was closed. Sometimes it's closed, but at that time when we were there, it was open. So we were all doing the pictures from that place. So I thought that these pictures done on the same time from the same space really look the same. So, and actually 1 hour later as well, and tomorrow as well. And we started to calculate how many people were there, and during the hours we were there, how much that makes in one day, people making pictures of this Leaning Tower, and how much in 1 week, how much in 1 month. And we extrapolated, like, and it was an amazing amount of images done of the Leaning Tower that should look the same. So in that time you had lots of, already in 2005, you had a lot of digital camera. So I tried to check online once we were back what I could find just by tapping in a search engine, Leaning Tower or Pisa. And actually I could already scroll a lot of pages of a Leaning Tower. So I did the same with the Eiffel Tower, and again I could scroll many Eiffel Towers. So just to underline the numbers of pictures that are done, I didn't find new figures actually, but I have these figures which is already impressive, of 1,200 billions of images done in 2017. And as you can see on the right here, smartphone really took the whole thing. So when I was watching at all these images of monuments, I was really impressed by the quantity of these images I could find already by that time. But what really caught my eyes is the consistency of these images. So I've wondered actually, because I had never been to Monument Valley since 2 years ago, and I had already a specific idea what I could find. So, and of how is Monument Valley. But so I was wondering, because we all have this collective memory of these places, if we go to these places like Monument Valley, are we doing pictures that we already know, and we in some way we do an image of an image, because we already know, we already have an image in our head. So I was wondering if we do it consciously, or if we are pre-programmed in some way. And Monument Valley is a good example, actually, how the infrastructure is built for tourism. So you have here the 3 famous buttes, and here you have, in front of these buttes, you have the hotel, which has this splendid view on the 3 buttes, and then here the shop, and here this famous, the parking behind, but then the famous Monument Valley view, where it's even written that famous photographer did these pictures from there. And here is this view where you can, play and make your pictures. And also, of course, the pictures of this image of the Monument Valley is enhanced again by being seen again and again through souvenir objects. So you can really do from specific spot your best souvenir pictures. And also I found that when traveling, that there is a kind of tacit agreement between tourists. So you don't have, to have the whole crowd with, like here with the Las Vegas sign. So you can really be alone in front of the sign, and people are queuing. For me, national park in the United States, is a very good example how these places have been promoted through photography. And in some way, there is really an influence today how we know these places and how we have the memory of these places. And here is before it was, so that's the Watchman Mountains, and here is that view where everyone stops to make this picture. And here is 100 of these pictures done from that spot. Google Map also had these icons where usually it's called like overlook or observation points or inspiration points. So there is this icons where you can make also your best pictures. And this one, for example, Snake River Overlook is this place where you have these famous picture by Ansel Adam. And here again, 100 of these images done by other people. And here another example with McWay Fall, which is on the California Big Sur coast. And here 100 of these images as example. So you can really plan your pictures, your travel and pictures together. And sometimes they are really even suggested to you. Here is in the tram to go to the mountains. And your selfie can be also suggested to make your best selfie. So you have the infrastructure can really tell you where to walk, where to stop, where to make your picture. And sometimes the nature also can really is the infrastructure itself, and you cannot really go further, like here with Horseshoe Bend in Arizona. So you have this view from there. So other example of similar images. And here with Delicate Arch in Utah. So I've wondered actually how I knew Monument Valley or other images, even if I'd never been to Niagara Falls, for example. I had these specific ideas how it looks like. So I think that maybe more in some generation, the postcards influence our gaze and how we see things, these famous landmarks at least. And today the internet, of course, influence how we see things. And I believe also that cinema we say in English, movies influence us, influence our behavior and the way we see things. And for example, maybe that all these Western done in the past influence a whole generation how we were seeing USA at that time. Everyday objects are coming again and again and again, so it does also inform us about all these places. And of course, advertisement has understood very well how to the power of the image. So I did an exercise like a few years ago, but during one small year, what I could find just about the Eiffel Tower in my city. And okay, here you have like a travel agency, which is obvious. Phone company can be also obvious. A drawing, that was before the pandemic. So it was like, to clean your hands, the product. Here in a bookshop, here ice cream, then coffee, hairdresser, clothes shop. And you can have your toast with the Eiffel Tower on it, or you can even bake your Eiffel Tower. Or just by seeing or hearing the Eiffel Tower, you have already an image that is in your mind, how it looks like. And these famous monuments have been photographed since photography exists directly, and before with paintings, of course. Here, Watkins in 1867, here Baalbek, here Giza, here the Pisa, and which is very close to the image that we saw with Mrs. Tsai and her daughter, and the Forum in Roma, and here the Taj Mahal, and here Mrs. Tsai in front of the Taj Mahal. So I really wanted to conjure up questions about this collective memory and why these images are so consistent, why we do these images actually still today, And so I started to watch at all these images and downloaded them as well. I didn't know exactly what to do first with them. So I was mostly downloading them, and then, we'll see what I was going to do with that. And so finally, once I found what to do with these, because I had this link to memory that was really important. So the very first thing I did with all these images, that I put them in transparency to have this link with memory in some way, weak, fading souvenir memory. It's the same word in French. That was really fading in our head. But then once I found how I wanted to express this with the composition of images, I started to download many images and did a preselection of 200 to 400 images. Like here for Bastille, you have many different images. And so I started to try to understand what is the most recurrent image of the place that comes, and what is the most consistency shape, of the place, or what is the spot where it's always done. Then here, for example, with Orsay, about close to 300 images here. And then what I do is that I put them in transparency and I layer them on top of each other with a software like Photoshop. And then because I'm very often asked, so here is the explanation how I do, is that I usually have all these images and line them up with the height of it. And then with the rest comes what comes. And here the result of the Taj Mahal with 100 of images on top of each other. So in some way, when you do this composition, you have the skies that is a bit blurred, and the different times are all together. So also the people are meeting even within all these different times. Here's the son of Mr. Tsai in front of the Parthenon in Athens, and here 100 of these images. Here, Mrs. Tsai in front of the Angkor Wat temple, and here the things to do in Angkor Wat apparently is really to go very early in the morning and see the sunrise behind the temple. So it's done, or used to do it. Used before the pandemic. It used to be something that all these pictures were done every day. 100 of these images were done. And here just 100 as a preselection. And then the layering. In my research, what I was doing is also to check what images was sold was used to sell a travel. So that, for example, for Cambodia, they used the Angkor Wat temple, and here for London, and here for Moscow to represent Moscow, and here 100 of these images are layered on top of each other, and here for California, this one, and here 100 of these images. And also I checked what I could find. The statistic dates from 2003 to 2004, because I started the work in 2005. So I checked also what was the most visited cities, countries, cities, monuments, through statistics as a start to know where to go and what to check. So these images are chosen to try to express questions that I wanted to conjure up, but so I'm choosing the image, I do the layering, and the layering is like a puzzle. So you can do, you can play with, depending on the information you have, you can really play and put like people together, or if there is a picture with snow, you could also have more information that comes from other images. You know, it's like a puzzle that you build. And it's like I had this same pleasure than when you are in the dark room and you see, you know, the image appearing slowly and slowly. And so to say that this is a personal interpretation. So it's not a machine that takes the images and do the composition for me. It's really something that I choose. I choose the images, and that serves me to express something. So I've been wondering why I was working to that, because it's my decision to make this way and to choose these images. I was wondering if I am influenced as well by images. And for example, at the age of 8, I received my first camera. So I checked what I had, like, you know, as photos of traveling. And we used to go mainly to Italy. And so I had this, with analog pictures, you didn't do many of these pictures. So I had like 10 images of Venice, and this is part of the one that I did. So for sure, also painting influenced me, the way I'm seeing, you know, or the way I have, I did the construction of my images. And maybe I have influenced by Dutch painting. Sorry, by doing these images, I have been influenced by Dutch painting. And here is other example with Gustave Courbet, the Château de Chillon in Switzerland. And I really like Gerhard Richter's work. So maybe while doing the Dome of Milano, I had been influenced by his painting. I don't know. Also, talking about influences, when I was doing these images called Tunnel View in Yosemite, I was really impressed how many black and white images I could find. And actually, going through all these images, many of these black and white was titled like Ansel Adams. And here the pictures of Ansel Adams. And here, many years before, also Watkins. So when I used to work on this, I really wanted to have this link with memory, and the blurring effect is serves me in the way of trying to speak more about the representation of a place rather than the place itself, and also this link to the how imprecise the memory can be, but still, you know, you recognize the place. So I'm showing you other images of the series. And here is the series Paris that I started a few years ago. Just 2 images here. And here the one with the American sceneries. Here, Yellowstone. And here the one that we saw before with Zion, with the Watchman Mountain. I always, for a very personal reason, because I like this place, I always wanted to to work on Joshua Tree National Park. And this time I didn't feel like, I didn't want, you know, to layer the tree, which is a special tree anyway, but I didn't want to do that, but more translating the spirit of the place. So I thought I was going to work with many images, but in video this time. So I haven't finished, so I couldn't show it to you, but I'm going to show you only still images of that. I don't even know if it's going to work actually. So also with when we go to see museums, exhibition, it's very often we do pictures of artworks. And in 2005, while I was downloading all these images of the Pisa. First, I started with Pisa, the Eiffel Tower, the Matterhorn. I also downloaded Mona Lisa, but then I put that aside, and I came back like 8 years ago with how we photograph paintings, and I chose directly Impression Soleil Levant because it was Impressionism is very popular, though I thought it was going to be very much photographed, and also Impressional Sunrise gave the name of Impressionism. So that's the reason why I chose this one. So I didn't know what I was going to do or find, but I realized that I found many, many different colors of images. These images have all a different color. You don't know which one is really the right one, if any. So what I did is that I gathered all these images and chose different colors which would work as a gradient in some way. And I did this video I'm going to show you. So it's a loop thing. So with about 100 of these images with all different colors. So here it comes again. I've wondered also, because since the smartphone, and that's not so long ago, I've been working on that. I've always wondered how the everyday is photographed. And so because for me, every day is very much related to social media. So it's something that you want to share as an everyday thing. So it's very different to the event of a travel or going to see a famous monument. It's more, the event becomes somehow the social media. So I chose the skies as a subject because it's related. It's the sky change every day, but it's a generic image in some way because we share it all together. We have the same sky, and it's not really important where it is. So this time is not about the place. And then actually this time I wanted to speak about the transmission of these images, how we transmit and why we transmit it. So the composition was not about memory really, but about these social media things. So I wanted this little link, which is more like a personal link, I guess, but about wire photo, and which is the first transmission of images that we were doing. So it's a line by line transmission by telephone or telegraph. So it was scanning this line by line thing. And so I did this composition this time with line of pixels. And here is detail to see it from closer. And here are other images with other skies. And here another one. The webcam, the consistency of these images are very much related for me with webcams because they take the same images again and again and again, or video cam actually today. And I've been following webcams of famous monuments or beaches as well, or traffic video cams as well, but about famous places a bit later than this one was maybe in 2013, I think. So I focus on this Matterhorn because it was a bit, yeah, it was special because by being repeated again and again, something changed. And the Matterhorn, just as a side things, if you go there and make a picture from the other side of the mountains, you don't recognize the Matterhorn. So you really have to have this specific view. It's the most famous one. And actually, if you go there and there is clouds, bad weather, you might not see it. And maybe because there is snow almost all year on the mountains, the camera by photographing again and again kept the shape, the sensor burned and kept the shape of the Matterhorn. So again, for me, it was I really fall in love with all these images, and because it's also a link to how our brain remembers things, because it's mainly the shape which is important. So it has again this link with memory, and I'm showing you other images. And I was really interested also by this repetition of images, which is wearing. Do you see that? The image gets worn by this repetition. So I've wondered actually what, again, it's a personal question, but I've been really wondering, because by seeing all these images that are so consistent of famous places, I've wondered if the meaning of them is shifting by being photographed again and again, or seeing again and again. It can be a stronger meaning, can be fading, can be, just shifting. But I was just wondering if this meaning changes. So in symbolic way, to retranslate this question, I have this theory called total, which I'm going to show you just one example. So I took the palm tree that I photographed in California, and I'm taking very strong images with what they symbolize. So palm tree, for European at least, is like sun, beach, vacations. So that was important. And the link I took is postcards. So in the Swiss Post offers a system where you can have your form, the app in the phone, and you send it pictures to this app, and you receive, or you send it to someone normally, a physical postcards. So I did this by sending to me, and so I was scanning the postcards, putting back in my phone, going through the app, and send it as a postcard, receiving the postcard, start scanning, and so on, until seeing what is happening. And when I was scanning it, I was always scanning in the same way and doing it exactly the same way for each of these images. So I just wanted to tell you that you watch 3,300 images, a bit more actually, and that's where I'm going to stop the presentation.
Thank you so much, Corinne. It's like the carbon footprint, basically, right? Like we've watched. It's a nice disclaimer to have at the end of every Screenworks. I think we should do it. I'm happy to report that we've received a good number of pictures that you should be able to access already. And if you don't mind, I can start maybe sending you some questions, if that's okay with you. So that, let me just go back. So somebody was commenting on this idea of iconography and iconoclasty. Leaky Brain writes, it occurs to me that the idea of the image, this idea of the image, of this collective memory, of this reenacting and remaking of the same image is a similar, if not identical, process by which icons are also conceived and made. They're not unique images, but repetitions or copies of a known image. The Rhoneglacier or Pantocrator, I think it's it's a religious iconography reference. So the idea of repeating, replicating, making copies of the same image. Mm-hmm. So I guess more of a comment, but if you have anything to say about that, and if have any thought on this idea of the icon? I guess in this case, it's maybe more of a religious icon, but also the landmark as an icon.
Yeah, it is an icon, and it's maybe we could even take it as a pilgrimage. How do we say that in English?
Yeah, pilgrimage.
To when we go and travel, and as the photography is very linked to travel, and maybe it's we are trying to make icons again, and maybe that's why actually we need to make these images, because sometimes you can't even steal an image online and pretend that you've been traveling, and so maybe you still need this to. There is a psychologist that used to say that we do these pictures because now we are shorter and shorter to these places. Before you used to have much time, like the one that I was showing that from the end of 19th century, there was maybe 2 months. But now, you go to one place and the other place and so on. So maybe you have to do these pictures to digest this, because you don't have time with the places.
Thanks.
There was also a comment saying that perhaps now our minds, as we are so bombarded with this like huge amount of images of these landmarks, that Elena was saying that perhaps our mind is strict or thinking that we have actually been there, even if we haven't been.
Yeah,
like this feeling of knowing and having embodying an experience that we haven't had, in fact, through all those like huge amounts of images, which I also think it's an interesting idea. It's
strange because it's what happened with Monument Valley for me. It's like I wasn't surprised even. I knew it so much that it was like, okay, that's what I was expecting in some way, because I knew it so much about it.
You want to take a moment to go through the images, or?
Yeah, we can try to.
I think we're all curious to see what you got.
So,
yeah, meanwhile, just to say that we were asking for photographs of the machines, of the computers, because there were some people who sent screenshots. And so, I mean, it might be a little confusing because usually Corinne's work is about the photographs themselves, not about the machine, let's say. But in this case, we were looking for photographs of the computers, the laptops, desktop computers that you have on your homes.
Yeah, true. I have some print screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how many computers do I have then? Maybe I have. We might need more if you have. Anyone wants to still send some?
Last call to send photographs of your computer. Just take out your phone and take a photo of the screen that you are looking at and send it to screenwalkswith@gmail.com. You have it up there on the chat.
In the meantime, maybe I'll pass another question.
Yeah.
So Brian Guttridge just now wrote, the essence of a visit to a tourist attraction includes the journey there and back, the people you were with, the smells, the sounds, etc., etc. Is the picture the best way for a person to capture the whole memory?
It's what we think, but it's true. I guess if you don't do any pictures and go somewhere, you might remember more the atmosphere there. But if you make pictures, maybe then you relate to this gaze that you did, and then you go back to these images and think that these are memories. But actually, if you don't refer to that, you might have the smell and all this. I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe could you share your screen, Corinne, so we can see?
Yeah. Sorry. True. I'm going to make this way. I'm going to share this one. So I'm going to take images that are really about computer.
There are some more coming in.
Yeah.
I just received like
Great.
4 or 5 more of them.
No, this one. Okay, dokie. So I'm going to check.
I have a question, maybe, but
yeah,
like my own question, a bit more about the technique, perhaps. But yeah, just looking at this right now, I think it's very interesting how we've seen also in Screenwalks, but in general, I think with the evolution transformations of the digital image, more and more photographers and artists also working with code. But I really enjoy like there's a very physical process, right? Like there's a very kind of manual, human-made kind of decision here to go and not have all these images rearranged and overlaid by a script, right? Or some sort of code, like the action of you sitting down and going through all of these images. I mean, 3,300 images that we've seen today, but also how you compress each one of them through a layer in a process that the research, the archival, and the actual work in the Photoshop software is a completely different time frame that the one that would be operated by a script. Like, how do you feel about that? Have you ever thought of like getting the help of a program to do it, or is it important for you to do it yourself?
I think that was enough to conjure up the question I had. So that was just, sometimes it's tools like even softwares or whatever are just to express something. They are just tools for me. It's not like so if depending on what you want to express, and if that serves something generated by itself, or with codes, if that serves what you want to express, then yes, why not? But here I think I didn't have the competence anyway, but I didn't feel like I needed it anyway. So I guess for maybe another project, why not?
Thanks.
So do you still have my screen shared? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going, I have some doubles apparently. So you mentioned that more are going to come, right?
Yeah. In fact, I want to thank to our audience who has sent, like, in the last 5 minutes, we received like another 10 or 15 of them.
Oh, cool! Wow.
Yeah. So thank you so much for everyone for sending the images.
Okay, so voilà. Alors, did I put it there? So
there's even a proposal to create one last picture of our screen simultaneously, synchronizing the screens, but I guess that's something that we can try at the end. I think it's a great idea, Andreas. Thank you. Let's maybe first create the image with all the photos of the computer, and then we can try to do this.
Yeah, it's a great idea. We can do a countdown at the end.
Yeah.
Everybody taking an image at the same time. Thanks. That's a wonderful suggestion. Shall we catch up with some questions?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let us know if you prefer to go.
No, that's fine. You can go ahead.
Focus mode. Okay, so Georgia and Lewis write. Did you get this? No, yeah. Hello, Corinne. I'm interested in the idea that by repeatedly reproducing something, we dissolve its original essence. How have you found submerging yourself in images of, say, the Eiffel Tower has changed your experience of it when you see it in real life?
Yes.
It's very poetic too. The idea of the more you see, the less you see.
Yeah. So I guess yes, because then, but more like technically, and for example, for another work called Me Here Now, I spent a lot of time watching at people how they photograph the Sacré-Cœur. So somehow you become more technique and check how people behave, So that's first thing. So you watch around, which you wouldn't, I mean, unfortunately I watch around, but then also maybe I see the Eiffel Tower, for example, more as a product today than something that I would feel. But maybe it's because it depends, maybe because, for example, I find the Taj Mahal really amazing, but maybe we do something if I go there sometime. I don't know, I've never been there, but I guess you still, it takes away a feeling for, yeah, I guess so. I'm not. Do you have other questions or that are coming? Or did I take this one? Oh no.
Yeah, plenty. John, do you have one that you want, that it's close to your heart, that you want to?
I'm managing the emails on the background with the images. Yeah, just trying to gather all the images to put them on the folder for
so, well, we have some comment of somebody going to Machu Picchu. T is saying Machu Picchu was disappointing for the reason that you gave. It looked exactly like the photographs I had seen. Some people are getting excited about seeing their images made the selection. S.K. Stanley writing about, he wrote a book about the viewing of Mount Fuji in Japan, which is available online. So a little bit of a plug, but sure, feel free also to promote your materials if it's related to the topic, why not? Elena is commenting on the amount of work that has been involved, which I think is also something that maybe would be interesting to know a little bit more. Like the Photo Opportunities project is an ongoing project, right? That started now, what, 15 years ago?
Yeah, long time ago, yeah.
And whenever we see like one of these images, what are we looking at in terms of like workload, or like how long does it take you, let's say, to have a finished work?
About 1 week, because for two reasons, because of the download and because of the, so do we have 35? Because of the also the puzzle that I was saying about. So sometimes I do restart from zero because because the puzzle doesn't work, I have to rework again. But I guess about 1 week, I would say, for one image.
1 week of this, right? Of what
for one for one monument.
So interesting to have, like, now we're having more people sharing their experiences. Jen Russell saying that seeing the Mona Lisa was also similarly disappointed because there were so many people taking photos that couldn't be actually seen. And then a question from Linda: when you go to a famous place, are you determined to take a view that is different?
Not really. I think the souvenir would be about the Fuji. I had to take it because, you know, and actually we didn't stop there. It was by train and still I had to take it. So no, not really. I don't try that.
Karen is asking if you've ever tried this process with famous people. If the same principle applies in regard to how we look at celebrities, for example. So the idea of the portrait of celebrities as somehow also kind of a, an icon or monument of sort.
Yes, I thought about that, but I keep for other things. The famous people. I mean, I don't want to do a composition with this, for sure. Which are heavy.
Okay, so I think that we might have already enough images.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
So I can do it with this for sure.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone again. In fact, there have been a few people who have sent first the screenshots, and then I asked for to send images of their computers that they've done. So yes, thank you for all the images that you've sent.
It's long. They are big. I think I recognize this one. You mentioned about this. Okay, so I guess I'm almost there. Any other question?
Well, maybe I have a question in relation to, because it was very interesting to see throughout the talk also how we start with the idea of the postcard, and then we ended up on looking at Flickr or Instagram. But how do you see these two different ways of circulation? Because they're very different as well, right? Like we can say that there's a process of intensification in the circulation and production of images, but they are also regulated by very different ways, right? So that the post office and the internet and like the image when is the touristic image when it's shared on the network versus the postcards of its origins, if you want.
I guess it shifted more than really it's different, because I have the feeling that postcard is used as a, I don't know, maybe it's used as a vintage thing. I have sometimes the feeling, but it's just something more, and maybe it's even why we even know these places even more, or these famous people I was talking before, because we see them even more than before. Before it was very specific with postcards, it was like famous places, but now it can be anything that we see again and again. So I would say that it's just more. That's all, I'm really, like we call it in French, monotache.
Actually, Linda was just commenting on the brilliant multitasking in the chat. And
I'm not.
Another question come from Moxim, Michael O'Connell. Corinne, have you tried photogrammetry to make 3D-ish version, or is that of no interest? Are you interested in photogrammetry as a process?
I know an artist doing it, so and he in that way. So yeah, I think it's so you could. I know you could with all these images do like a leaning tower by assembling all these images, but no, not really.
I was thinking also that maybe you could explain us what you're, I mean, even if we can see, it would be nice to know, like, because I've noticed that maybe you are selecting some of the images and discarding some others.
So no, I just put away the one that is more like print screen, which is, where is it? But I don't know, like, well, this one I couldn't. But otherwise, all the one that with computer I kept.
Even if the screen is not like very visible, no? Because there are a few images I saw that there's not even like a screen on, or like.
I'll check that while I'm going to work on it. But I mean, you mean I discarded it?
No, I was just wondering what's your process of choosing and not choosing the images, but I guess it's like a try and error while you assemble the file.
Yeah. Like the puzzle I was telling about, it's like then you see that this information will match with what you have before. So what I do, like I was saying before, is that with this, for example, I'm going to choose this specific image as a exercise. So I will really do a bit, because it's a bit like so I will check, the height of it. So, and then I will just line up the other images on that. Because this one is a bit from the side, so I try something. Okay, maybe that. And then usually what I do is really I'm doing all these images without any percentage. And for example, this one is a print screen. Is it? Yeah. So I just take all of them there. Yeah.
I'm also seeing some questions and comments on the chat. They're asking if it will be possible to go through the images. I guess that we are kind of going through all the images right now, while Corinne is like dragging them to the main folder. So maybe otherwise it will take a long time to go through all of them.
Oops,
so
what did I do? Oh, merde. So yeah, I'm going to show you in other ways all these images.
But I mean,
here, you see it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then here others. So you have here. Oops.
There was someone also asking about the program. I think it's quite, I mean, you can see it on the top left that it's, of course, Photoshop.
But maybe because it's old, they don't recognize it.
Photoshop CS3, right? If I remember.
Yeah.
It's a vintage version of Photoshop.
So here's a print screen as well. Up. Yeah. Oops, not this. So here, I'm just putting all of them, and
we are very into contemplative and relaxing screen walks too. So no worries. There's no rush, and there's no need to hurry.
And we're also voyeurs, so we're very happy with this combination.
It's the real reason why Marco and I started the screen walks. It's just because we really like watching artists working on their computers. So.
but I want to reveal this to our parties, to our audience. Sorry, Corinne, but I have to tell everyone that you cleaned up your desktop before this event.
Treason.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, I did. I have to agree. I put this one already, I think. I don't know. I have to check. So definitely monotage. Yeah. So here. I might have been double some, but I will see then after. Okay.
Yeah, I think that there were a few people that sent more than one images or sent like photographs in different times, and they might look similar, but not exactly the same. So.
Okay.
And in fact, they keep coming.
Too late. And one thing that is, because here I'm seeing big resolution, and I usually take images that are like 800 pixels. That's far enough. Mm-hmm. And so the file is not that heavy, because here I'm already at 1.5 giga. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have this one for sure already. So, yeah, I might have to. Okie dokie. Maybe this one. This one I have already. Yeah. So here. So maybe here. So what I'm going to do, if we, my God, time goes very fast. So as you saw here, so I'm going to try to make already a few images with that and then show the results. So you have already an idea in case we cannot, because some people want to.
For the impatient ones. For the people who have no patience in the audience.
Yes.
Holly is asking if you remove images that you think that spoil the overall effect. I guess that.
Here, on that case.
Yeah, I guess that in your practice in general, and in this case in particular.
In this case in particular, I just try to. I take the one that I might take out the one that is too close, to have a better view on computer on the surrounding. Oops. So here. So like here it's cut. So, but we try. I mean, it's just like to show a test of it. Yeah, thank you. So here, for example, I take just one.
I have to say that, yeah, when I was talking about voyeurism, it's also nice a little bit to have an insight in the screens and the tables of our audience. It's nice to have like the Screenwalks audience for once also making an appearance
Yeah.
It is true, because as our audience is muted, and even if we know that there's people behind these numbers and these words on the chat, it's quite nice to have at last a glimpse of the spaces from where you are joining us, from different places. In fact, I was wondering also, where is the people joining from? Like, where are you based? Just to have an idea of like how many, I don't know, how, from which countries, cities, places are you following us, and to have an idea also of that image
Comes from.
Nice. So we have, Dublin, London, Philadelphia, New Jersey, what else? London, Dublin, Cologne in Germany, West Wales, Paris, Düsseldorf, Brighton, Barcelona, Lincoln, UK, Marfa, Texas, somewhere between Malaga and London, more London. Go on, Marco.
There's also somebody from Brazil. Oh, that's fantastic. Now saying Brazil and Switzerland, as Greece and Switzerland as well. Oh, it's fantastic. Networked audience, a networked community. It's nice to
Yeah, it's nice to hear that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so this one, for example, I could eventually here on that case double it because it's 2 screens. So maybe I can use this one and then this one here. It's a bit. So I'm going to do it like 10 more, and then I'm going to show you what effects once we go. I'm doing it fast, but oops.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's no need on our side. There's no need to rush. And I see on the chat that there's no need to rush, neither by the audience, which is still here. Jonathan Lewis is saying no rush. So
thank you, Jonathan. Okay. So, for example, if I go with zoom here, so in of course, with transparency, you will not see all images depending how many you put, because, and that's the thing also to play with, is which one you really choose more in front to make your image like this. Full ones could come like, and I will try, because we don't have many images, so I will try to show so this way.
It was beautiful to see how you were like taking down the opacity of like of the images, and how it was like surfacing the compilation of all of them.
Yeah, because here we don't have many, so I just put like more contrast to, and then you have the weight of the images is coming by doing more and more images. But you can have already an idea there of this computer that is multitude of computer. So. Yeah, again. But the whole game really, like I mentioned before, is really to choose the images by what information you want. And that can be not only information, for example, to a screen, but what is happening aside of that. So for monument is the same. So it's also what is happening in front or, you know, aside of the monument. So I would really choose with depending on that.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that it already shows this compilation of in fact, laptops. I'm surprised that well, I shouldn't be surprised that most of the people is watching us from laptops.
Yeah.
And it's also quite, I mean, it does make sense because I guess that most of the people who has sent the photos has taken the photos while you were talking, but you, I mean, we could, I think, recognize a face or a head around there, or even many faces or many heads around there on the compilation, on that final image.
For the moment, I'm close to 30. Not even. No, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, about 30 for the moment, but I'm going to put more. And usually I check to make sure that there is no doubles, you know, and of the same images, but there are different times and different images.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. I need to register.
And I was also thinking when Marco was talking about seeing, like, having a glimpse of the places where they are, like, people is following us, we can even see like the time difference on the light of the images.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
That they have submitted. I mean, like, I guess that the network nature of this compilation of images will show up also on those differences of on the lighting of the photographs.
So here, so for example, this one. So you can see, for example, if I have one dark image and one very light, then it will really give other information, be even under these.
Mm-hmm.
So, oops.
it's nice to see that there are like a few conversations going on in the chat while I guess that while they are watching you like create the image, there are a few jokes going on and conversations and questions and proposals. And Simon is proposing that maybe on the last goodbye shot, we could have our time displayed on the same place so we get an idea where we are all viewing from. That's also a nice idea. I mean, also go ahead if you feel to do it also right now, whenever you think it's appropriate.
That's ahead already.
And Karen is asking, will you share what blending mode you are using?
The transparency mode?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, here it's just, I do it for the whole thing the same, because it's like, I not put 10%, because it's, usually I really work on what image in the top with maybe 2%, and then, you know, just to give like one information, then I go depending on the image, how strong they are or not. So here it's just like to give you an idea. So it's everything with 10% for the moment.
And what about the blending? It's not only, I mean, I think that she's not asking only about the opacity, but also if you are using any blending mode. But so I think it's like just a straightforward, like normal.
It's blending. Normal, yeah.
Okay.
No, I try not to, I don't want any effects, more like just transparency on top of each other. Oops. So I'm almost done. Did I do this one already or not? So I'm sure I have like doubles because of a folder that was doubled. I did a mistake, but this one, for example, no, maybe not. Up.
Somebody sent me a message asking if you will provide a certificate of participation. Well, I don't know if it was to us or to Corinne. we will do an NFT probably.
Oops.
Is it turning out as you were expecting it to? Or like, do you have an image when you start the process and at the end it's...
Let's say that it's hard to show how I'm working, because usually I really watch at all these people, all these images very much before to work on it. So here I just take them, you know, and try to do something with it. So it's, but yeah, almost. I wish I could like play more about, you know, which information and all that, but for the moment it's just to also to give an idea of and then we can see the different sizes of the computer, because I chose the height of it, so it's you can really see strong limit of the computer here, which is blurred on the side, so which is the same then with monuments. So usually when you choose that, the rest really comes what comes, and it's usually different and blurred. So we can, I guess I will stop there with this one and just show more then. I had this one. Let's try this still, and then I stop up. Okay. So, I could really, that's nice to have these writings on that.
It's starting to really look like this pandemic ghost, no? The Zoom aesthetics, the laptop, the hours, the days spent in the house looking at computers.
That's the thing, yeah, exactly. All these hours behind our computers.
Yeah.
Yeah, behind and inside, no? Like in both sides, like in front, behind, and inside the computers, I would say. Yeah, it's nice that there's like a main figure and then all these smaller squares and names with faces, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you can really, like, there were, I think I know this dog.
I've seen this dog before.
So, for example, I could play on the percentage, or how you play with that. You can really play like a puzzle with this. So, so you can see, actually, you were right, Marco, about the time difference, because here is a lot of yellow images. So it's more in Europe, because it's getting dark here.
I'm trying to follow the comments. Really a record of our current time, says Yanis. It's interesting how it's the opposite of the cinema screen lock exposed by the blog whose name I can remember. Reference to Sugimoto.
I think
yeah.
It was
yeah, I mean, it's provoking some like a few comments, the image. And again, I think it is a nice reflection of the time that we are living, and even the time that we have spent here in the during the screen work today.
Hey, there's even a proposal by somebody. Would you consider, Corinne, to turning this into a postcard, and we could mail it to all the participants?
Yeah, of course, we can do that.
That would be nice, in fact.
Yeah.
We do have the emails of the people who send images, so it's easy to get back to them and to ask them for the address.
Or physical postcard with the app.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. That's a nice idea. Okay, so I guess that maybe we could wrap up here.
Yeah, I could continue for hours, but then it's changing and more images, but then it's up to you. It's
I mean,
I think it gives us an idea anyway of the.
Yeah, and I mean,
we obviously care for your health and well-being, so we would not to keep going and.
Yeah, and feel free to keep
lots of lack of sleep.
Feel free to keep on working on the images if you want. Anyway, yeah, yes, thank you. I guess thank you so much, Corinne.
Thank you to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, for like sharing your work and the presentation and sharing your work process. And thank you so much to everyone who has joined this evening.